There are days when the world seems to collapse upon us. Everything that once felt secure breaks into pieces, plans fail, relationships fall apart, strength disappears. The ground gives way, and God's silence feels deafening. In those hours, despair tries to take the place of faith. Yet it's in that valley between the before and the after that God does his deepest work. When everything falls apart, he does not leave, he remains. Sometimes God allows the ruins not to punish us, but to free us from what was holding us captive. He tears down the walls we built to protect ourselves, but that also blocked his light. The pain that weighs on you today may be the hammer of God shaping something new. The same God who allows the fall is the one who sustains you through it. And when the dust settles, he is still there, lifting you, strengthening you, and making you aware of his presence. The Bible is full of people who watched their world collapse only to discover that God was still in control. Job lost everything but found a faith no treasure could buy. Joseph was betrayed and forgotten, but every tear led him to the place of purpose. Elijah hid in fear, ready to give up, until God fed him in the wilderness and spoke in a gentle whisper. Peter wept after denying Jesus, but that failure became the turning point of his life. Ruins never surprise God. They are part of his rebuilding process. What looks like collapse to us is construction to him. When everything falls apart, the Lord doesn't lose control. He simply changes the scenery to reveal what was hidden. When life breaks, our first instinct is to ask for explanations. Why, God? We plead, but there are questions heaven answers only with time. God doesn't always explain, he prefers to reveal. Explanations calm the mind, but revelation transforms the heart. And often, silence is the language of transformation. Some lessons can only be learned when the noise of certainty fades away. Sometimes God allows everything to fall so we can rebuild on the right foundation, Christ himself. He doesn't restore what was lost to give back what we had. He restores to give us something we could never have without the pain. On the soil of ashes, true faith grows, not as fleeting emotion, but as the unshakable conviction that God is good even when everything seems broken. The faith that grows in collapse is the faith that does not depend on circumstances. It's the faith that says, even if the fig tree does not blossom, I will rejoice in the Lord. That kind of faith doesn't come from logic, but from trust. It's the kind of faith that survives the fire because it was refined by it. When everything falls apart, God invites us to trust the unseen, to rest in the unexplainable, and to hope in the impossible. He calls us not to understand, but to remain. Remaining is an act of love, saying, Lord, even without answers, I trust you. It's in that place where the light seems gone that God's presence becomes most real. He doesn't shout in the chaos, he whispers. And whoever learns to hear that whisper finds that his silence speaks louder than 1,000 words. But God doesn't just comfort, he rebuilds. The same God who allows collapse also restores with perfection. He doesn't patch the broken pieces to return what was lost. He creates something entirely new from them. God's reconstruction is stronger because it's built on the foundation of dependence. He teaches us to stop relying on what can be shaken and to rest on what is eternal. A new beginning starts when we stop asking God to give back what fell and start asking him to transform us through it. When everything collapses, it's not time to run. It's time to remain, because what's breaking isn't you, it's what was keeping you from growing. And what's being formed is stronger, purer, and more like Christ. Maybe today you look around and only see ruins. Maybe everything you once understood now feels empty. But listen, God is still here. He is rebuilding, even when you can't see it. He turns tears into foundations and pain into purpose. Nothing is wasted in the hands of the one who redeems all things. One day, you'll look back and see that the place where everything fell apart was the same place where God began something new. Wait on him, trust him, because the God of the ruins is also the God of new beginnings. If this message spoke to your heart, leave your like, subscribe to Path of the Gospel, and share this video with someone who needs to remember that God still works in the middle of chaos. In the comments, tell us what God has been rebuilding in your life and suggest topics you'd like to see here. Let's walk together on the path of the gospel, where even what falls becomes faith that endures.